Here with our founder and chairman of the board, David Schmidt, and I get to steal a few minutes and talk about some really fun and exciting things with him. So David, thank you so much for being here.
Really exciting, Wayne. Really looking forward to our conversation today. And we're going to be providing our brand partners with some incredible information about our products and about our science.
Absolutely. It's the part that they always love, that they just devour all the science and technology, all the great information that you provide. And that's really where I want to start. Innovation is really at the heart of your work. It's at the heart of Lifewave, and it's been integral in propelling Lifewave to becoming one of the fastest growing companies in the world. And so again, I feel a little jealous that I get to be the one sitting here, digging in on some of the great technology and product information with you. But before we go too deep into the product, I'd love to take a little bit of a step back and have you talk a little bit about the role and the importance that stem cells play in our overall health and wellness.
So back in the late 2000s, I was starting to think about where is society going to be 10 years into the future. So we can always be looking at staying ahead of the curve and trying to predict how we can be developing new technology that's going to be useful. And it was very evident then that stem cells were the way of the future in medicine and in general health. So we began a decades-long discovery process of looking at how could we create a stem cell technology that would be very different than what other researchers were looking at. So to answer your question, stem cells are the basic cells that everything else comes from. So the liver tissue, kidney tissue, lung tissue, heart, doesn't matter. It all starts as a stem cell and then goes through a process of differentiation. So you may start with a pluripotent stem cell, divides into a multipotent stem cell, and then a liver cell, or whatever may be the case. So an important thing to know is that stem cells naturally occur in the human body. We can't live without them. And stem cells age like the rest of the body. And by the time people reach age 75 or so, the stem cells can no longer divide, and whatever you have in your body is what you're left with. So this is a really bad thing because when people get injured into their 70s and 80s, they start to lose their capacity to heal and recover. So it's why when people are in their 70s, they get a broken bone. It may never heal correctly because of the loss of stem cell activity. So I started with a very basic proposition. And instead of injecting stem cells into the body, which is extremely expensive, and you can't do it daily, and it has risks associated with it, could we create a technology that was safe, affordable, and effective that everyone could have access to that would improve the way the stem cells that are already in our body behave? So essentially, take the old stem cells and convert them over into younger, healthier cells.
So that was essentially the catalyst for the development of the light therapy, the phototherapy products, or the phototherapy technology that found their way into X39 and the other patches.
Well, the phototherapy part of it started in the late 90s, early 2000s, as I was trying to create the energy patches, which were the first product. So, and that, of course, came out of prior experience where I was developing survival equipment for the U.S. Navy through government contractors. So the idea with that was, could we have a way of elevating fat burning in our cells using light? And of course, we developed many clinical studies to substantiate that the energy patches were doing that. But later on, I initially did not think we could use phototherapy to accomplish the goal of stem cell mobilization. And in fact, we have over 70 patents on multiple methods of inducing activity of stem cells in the body. Most of them have to do with novel electromagnetic fields, and we had many clinical studies that were very successful. But fortunately, our laboratory results showed that you could use phototherapy, and X39 came as a result.
And can you talk a little bit about how it is kind of that core flagship product, really the tip of the spear for much of the rest of the product portfolio?
When I started Lifewave, the goal was to have a company that would have lifestyle products. And that was, our humble beginnings, and we did extremely well. But then through research, I was able to find ways to use the technology to elevate production of specific antioxidants. And then we entered into the second generation of Lifewave by releasing glutathione, carnosine, and eon. And that trio has very powerful longevity effects. So for example, with glutathione, that is a very good marker for how long a person will live. Lifespan is directly correlated to the body's glutathione levels. Carnosine is interesting because it preserves telomere function and telomere length. And studies with mammals have shown that lifespan increases about 30 to 40%. And of course, those are the long-term benefits, but short-term benefits, what we found through our studies was that it improves cognition, improves the speed of processing in the brain, improves the metabolism. We see that overall health and wellness. We even have studies showing that it improves athletic performance. So strength, stamina, body composition, all improve through the use of X39. So for many people, using that one single product is going to cover pretty much everything that they want to do, although adding our other patches certainly has benefits.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a theme, I think, for all of the products and all of the technology is this additive effect. And I know we're going to talk more about that, but being 4 months in here, but knowing many people that had been on the product for years, I'm blown away at the testimonials from people who take all of the patches. But X39 is the one I know I can't live without. That's the one that I have to do every day and then kind of add others from there. But talk to me a little bit about the point, or talk to us about the point where you realize that you could take this technology and extend it into other products as well, that it wasn't just about staying with the patches and keeping a limited portfolio, but that you were open to seeing that be applied in other categories and other products.
So when we look at not only human biology, but we look at the biology of all living things on the planet, there is an incredible dynamic that occurs between the physical and the energetic. And this is, I'm not being metaphysical here.
Sure.
This is a scientific comment in the sense that if we examine living cells, we see that there are proteins like collagen that make up the cytoskeleton that hold water in the cell and that the organelles attach to. There is a phospholipid layer in the membrane that maintains the integrity of the cells. And then you have electrolytes, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, that help to maintain the electrical charge around the cell. So you need to have these physical elements that will make up living matter. But as a consequence, you get electrical fields, magnetic fields, you get sound that propagates through these cells, of course, light, a form of electromagnetism. So this is to say that the energetic systems of the body are in harmony with the physical composition. So if we can understand that basic point, then that means that if we have our diet in place, we get proper nutrition, proper hydration, proper rest, that we're creating an environment so that the energetic properties of the cell can thrive. It also means that when we're looking at the cells, exactly how are cells living, how are they communicating, and doing what they're supposed to do, making energy, helping to support the body's overall health. What has been found, at least since the 1960s by Dr. Becker, is that the electrical systems of the body control the biochemistry. And so this is the beauty of working with light. When we get right down to the heart of it, Dr. Fritz Popp discovered that if we take any living cells, human cells, plant cells, animal, put them in a room that's completely dark, we see emissions of light called biophotons coming out of the cells, and the light is coming from the DNA. So what this means is that our DNA releases highly coherent pulses of light that initiate many thousands of different chemical reactions, biochemical reactions within the cell. So if we can understand this, this means that we can stimulate the skin with light with the patches to elevate peptides like GHKCU, or now we can discover other tech like our water machine where we embed biophotons into the water so that we drink the water, the light is released, and it can initiate rejuvenative effects in the body. And so the basic concept with Lifewave is that we want to heal the body with light, and that could mean stimulating the surface of the skin with light, or it could mean taking light directly into the body. And that's what's so exciting about this new direction of where we're going.
Absolutely. The applications are so broad-reaching, and the impact so incredible. And to that point about extending that technology into new products, I'm very excited that we get to talk about a product that's launching here very quickly. Early March we'll be launching. There's an opportunity to get it with the promotion a little bit ahead, but the Cellergize morning formula.
Yes.
And I'm excited to learn more about this product from you, and I know we all are as well. So it is such a unique formula. Do you mind taking us through some of those key ingredients and what the impact and benefits are?
Sure. Let's go ahead and do it. For many years, I've been making recommendations on different nutritional supplements that people could take that would support their overall health and well-being. And of course, because we didn't sell certain supplements, I could use freedom of speech to make these recommendations. And also remind people I'm not a medical doctor, so that myself and the company are not providing any type of medical advice. But one of the themes that kept coming up was that because of people's diets today, they might often be lacking certain nutrients to optimize the effectiveness of the patches. So for example, many people choose to have a vegan and a vegetarian lifestyle, which is totally great. But we would say it is extremely challenging for those individuals to get certain nutrients. So for example, beta-alanine, which is the basis for AHKCU and carnosine, principally we would see beta-alanine in red meat, or we might see creatine in red meat. There is also cysteine. Cysteine is the backbone of glutathione. So it's a limiting factor. You don't get enough cysteine in your diet, you're not going to be able to make as much glutathione. And we find cysteine in dairy products, it's in whey protein, we find it in eggs. So vegans and vegetarians are at a significant disadvantage. So the idea behind this was that we would create a single formula so that no matter what patch you're using, this one formula would have all the nutrients that you would need to optimize the functioning of the patches. So I think it's worth mentioning that that's the overarching mission statement of why we wanted to come out with this formula.
Yeah, that's really important. Well, the formula is so unique from any other product that's out there. Can you dig in a little bit on some of the specific ingredients in that formula, why they're unique, and the impact that it has on that collective formula?
Sure, absolutely. Let's go through that. First, let's take a look at the overall formula for Cellergize morning formulation. And there is a lot of nutrients that are in the formula to match up with all of the patches. So it's extremely comprehensive. The first one that we should probably discuss is Cyanthocks. And Cyanthocks is an extract of sea buckthorn. And the reason why we included this was not because it's necessary for the functioning of the patches, but because this one specific nutrient had very good research to show that it would improve the stem cell activity in the body. And when we're looking at claims, one of the things that our brand partners kept coming back with is, how can we make the stem cell claim, because that's what people are interested in. So how do we get through regulatory? So we worked with scientists, doctors, lawyers to say, okay, well, let's take a look at a whole different spectrum of nutrients. Which one is going to give us very good protection so we can make stem cell claims? And sea buckthorn extract, Scienthox, kept coming back. And as we began to look at the literature on it, we got excited and say, this is going to be a phenomenal complement to our patches. So that's why we included Scienthox. I think next thing, this is going to be a little bit of a surprise, but one of the nutrients that we included was vitamin C. And of course, it's extremely common, but interestingly, of course, vitamin C is a very good antioxidant, and it's been used therapeutically in much higher doses to help save people's lives. And so we wanted to make it as a base ingredient in the formula. It helps to support overall stress reduction within the cell. Vitamin C is interesting in that it can turn on collagen production, can be used to stimulate formation of new cartilage, helps to preserve glutathione levels in the body, and there's very good science to show that vitamin C as an antioxidant helps to support the health and vitality of the stem cells. So for that reason, we included vitamin C.
Yeah, very powerful ingredient.
Now, niacin is an interesting ingredient. We included a low dose of niacin. And the reason is that when we look at the mitochondrial function in the body, we look at the electron transport chain, and we look at, let's say in this case, the Krebs cycle. One of the key nutrients that people are interested in today is NAD. And NAD is being shown that there's a strong link between longevity, youth renewal, and levels of NAD in the body. And as people age, the levels of NAD decline. So there's been an interest in supplementing with NAD. Typically, the way this happens is people take a supplement of NMN or NR. However, the FDA has been looking to take NMN and NR off the market and label them as drugs, which is really terrible because they should be classified as nutrients. But something exciting has come up through the literature to show that niacin, common B vitamin, is actually a better precursor to formation of NAD in the body than NMN or NR. So the bottom line is that by supplementing with niacin, we support levels of NAD, we support youth and vitality, and we protect the integrity and health of the stem cells in the body. So that was the reason for including niacin. The next nutrient we would look at would be magnesium, and in this case, magnesium citrate. Now, over 60% of the general population has a magnesium deficiency, and magnesium participates in at least 300 different biochemical reactions in the body. So everyone should really be taking a magnesium supplement. And in this particular case, we decided to use magnesium in both our daytime and our nighttime formula. Typically, dosing of magnesium can range anywhere from 100 to 400 milligrams daily, depending on the individual. They should see a doctor about that. But fortunately, there was research showing that not only would magnesium support what are called mesenchymal stem cells. I know some of our U.S. viewers are going to they're going to object to me pronouncing that way, but we did our research in Ireland, and that's the way they pronounce MSC stem cells.
I'm going to take your word for it. You're the expert. So.
Yeah, so I know I get criticized for that, but that's a little bit of an Irish accent on my part.
Gotcha.
But anyway, magnesium has been shown to improve the activity of the MSC stem cells in the body. And as an example, what are these stem cells? They release a growth factor called VEGF, and VEGF is involved in, let's say, supporting the cardiovascular health of our body. It's a vascular growth factor. So having enough magnesium is very important to stem cell activity. Also, one of the things that our patches does is it improves the flow of energy through the body. And magnesium as an electrolyte is necessary to support the flow of bioelectrical current through the body. So again, another important reason as to why we should be taking magnesium.
Any other highlights on the ingredient list?
Oh, there's quite a few more.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the next one I think we would talk about would be zinc, and we included both copper and zinc in the formula. The reason to include copper is that copper is necessary for the formation of GHKCU, as it's a copper binding peptide, and in X49, AHKCU. When you take copper, you should also take zinc. The two of them work hand in hand. And so for that reason, because zinc both supports the activity of stem cells in the body and that it works hand in hand with copper, we included both copper and zinc.
Great.
Selenium is a micronutrient, and research on selenium has been around for many decades. It's important that we don't take too much selenium because that can have adverse effects on the body. For men, one of the benefits of selenium is that it can help to support testosterone levels in the body. Paired with zinc, it can act as a natural aphrodisiac. So selenium also as an antioxidant is critical in the formation of glutathione. Now, the next nutrient that we included in this formula is potassium. And similar to magnesium, almost the entire population is said to have a potassium deficiency. And potassium, of course, is an electrolyte. It's necessary for the flow of energy in the body. And in this particular case, all of the patches depend upon potassium content to conduct electrical signaling. So for that reason, we included potassium. Potassium has a number of other amazing benefits. It can help support the cardiovascular system. So for these reasons, we included potassium.
That's great. What's another key ingredient that you included in the formula?
So we had prior experience in developing nutritional supplements, and one of those ingredients was fiber, and specifically soluble fiber. And from the point of view of consuming this product, we found that by adding FiberSol, it would improve the body of the drink and make it more pleasurable to drink. So from just the point of view of experience, adding fiber would be really good. However, fiber, and specifically soluble fiber, is going to act as a prebiotic and support the probiotics in the body. So it's a good way of improving the flora of the gut. In addition, most people today, especially Americans, don't get enough fiber in their diet, so this is a good source of fiber.
Absolutely, and such an important part of that whole technology platform that is really the thread through all of these products. Any other highlights in the formula?
A super important one.
Okay, great.
Super important one. So in developing the water machine technology, where we're looking at longevity mechanisms, there is a positive and negative feedback loop in the electron transport chain, and this involves glutathione and nitric oxide. So essentially, glutathione and nitric oxide are necessary for energy production. And when glutathione levels begin to fall off, the energy metabolism of the cell will suffer as a consequence. So we need glutathione to suppress and control oxidative stress. And if it's not there, then we're going to experience mitochondrial dysfunction. On the opposite side, we need to feed oxygen and oxygen radicals into the cell, but mostly, let's say, oxygen, to support cellular respiration so we can convert food over into cellular energy. And one of the things that's necessary is nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide has huge benefits. I'll appeal to men again, and nitric oxide is strongly linked to the cardiovascular health So most men are going to want to supplement with some type of ingredient to boost nitric oxide, and L-citrulline is a good choice. Now, a surprise nutrient, I think, that we included was creatine. And creatine has been known now for, let's say, at least 20 years as a nutrient that's used in bodybuilding for athletes, muscle building. And it helps to mediate energy production in the cells. It helps to volumize muscle tissue to allow improvements in strength and stamina, and this is how it's been known. I'd actually recommend that people that are not athletes use creatine to help support their muscle mass because of sarcopenia. Most people are going to lose up to 50% of their muscle mass by the time they reach age 70, and by supplementing with natural ingredients like creatine and doing, of course, resistance training, you can get the most out of the patches and also support strength and stamina, as well as the stem cell activity in the body.
I've heard more and more about it. It seems recently in the media about how it has shifted from kind of the fitness or bodybuilding crowd to more of the average person and the important role that it plays in our overall health and wellness.
Yeah, I think as now research has shifted away from athletics and looking at things like the role of creatine in cognition, in stem cell activity, more will be learned, and 10 years from now we'll probably know 100 times as much about creatine as we know today. But I think suffice it to say there's enough known to justify the statement that we should be supplementing with creatine daily. A really important ingredient that we included in this formula is beta-alanine. I was mentioning earlier that people that are choosing to be vegans or vegetarians are going to be deficient with beta-alanine if they don't supplement. Beta-alanine has phenomenal health benefits, principally because it is a precursor to carnosine and AHKCU. So we included this nutrient so that people that are using the carnosine patch and are using X49 can be assured that they're getting beta-alanine in their diet, and they'll get the best results with those patches.
Amazing. Again, how it always ties back, to the patches and helps supporting the other products, those synergistic effects of the entire product portfolio.
Absolutely.
So what other elements to this incredible formula? It seems like it's a list of riches in this formula.
Yeah, a really important one. Again, thinking about our community where so many people are vegans or vegetarians, we included N-acetylcysteine. So N-acetylcysteine is an amino acid. It's been around since the 1960s. And again, it's necessary for the formation of glutathione and NAC. So for people that are using X39, you want to get the optimum results.
So even on its own, this formula is innovative, incredibly powerful, but yet you didn't stop here. So there's also a companion formula to Cellergize Morning. And I'm curious, talk a little bit about the needs from morning to evening and how our nutritional needs shift and how these products eventually, as we launched, the evening formula later in the year. Can you talk a little bit about how they'll work together?
Yeah, we took a different philosophy on the evening formula. So when I was looking at the daytime formula, the mission was let's put this together so all the nutrients that we're going to include allow for the proper function of the patches as well as supporting stem cell activity in the body. We'll use the water as the delivery system, and the water machine, the patches, the nutrients, they all fit together. So what do we do then with an evening formula? And the general philosophy was, well, now let's take the opportunity to support rest, relaxation, proper sleep, and do it in a way that will be different than the first formula in that the nutrients aren't designed to necessarily be necessary for each of the patches, but to complement their activity. So what's an example of this? Let's say that someone is using Silent Nights to improve the quality of the sleep. And we know that Silent Night supports melatonin levels in the body. Well, we didn't want to put melatonin in the evening formula. That wouldn't really make sense. So instead, we looked at nutrients like taurine. Because most people are going to be looking at their phones, their computers, their iPads, they're getting exposed to blue light. And this is going to interfere with the quality of their sleep. Also, we have very hectic lives today. And the nervous system needs to get into a more calm state in order for us to sleep. So a nutrient like taurine, while it will not put someone to sleep, what it will do is relax the nervous system and prepare the body for sleep. We see that taurine declines with age. And in men, what's interesting is that studies show that if you start supplementing with taurine before the age of 40, your testosterone levels never decline with age. So there's something really powerful that's going on with taurine. It's found in the brain, found in the heart, and it's found in the testes in men. So I'm certain that over time, more evidence is going to show that taurine is absolutely necessary for longevity. So in other words, we include it in the formula so people can get the short-term benefits of improving the quality of the sleep, but also having long-term benefits.
So there is those needs that are different throughout the day, and the Cellergize morning and eventually the evening formula will be able to take care of that for us in addition to the patches and the other products.
Absolutely. You know, the philosophy here is that if we can provide people with a good night's sleep into a state of relaxation naturally without drugs, so we can optimize this.
I'm so excited for the Cellergize formulas. I can't wait till March to get the Cellergize morning and start on that formula. If someone was asking you kind of where do I start? You know, how do these products work together? Is there a sequence or a protocol that you feel works best? Is it start with X39? What advice would you give somebody?
My advice would be to speak with the leaders that are out in the field that are having crazy success, and they know what they're doing. And, you know, I would want to thank Steve and Gina Merritt, amazing people. Just amazing. I love their hearts. They're incredible people. They want to legitimately help humanity, make this world a better place. They're incredible business people and human beings. And certainly what they and other leaders have found is you focus on X39. It's the flagship product. It's simple. Put it behind the neck, below the belly button, on your point of concern. It's going to work. It's the ideal way of introducing people to Lifewave. It's affordable. It works. We have the clinical studies to validate it. People then get in the door. They look at the other products that we have, and then they can benefit them. But from the point of view of starting, because X39 is so powerful and covers so many things that people are concerned about, they're going to have a great experience with Lifewave right from the beginning.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, it is the go-to for me. It's the foundational product, and I kind of build and add from there. So I've been fortunate to get a tiny peek into some of the 7-year product roadmap that you've mentioned, and it is truly inspiring. And I just want to thank you for keeping us on the cutting edge of health and wellness, for looking that far out, for being able to see around the corners and helping to make a brighter future for all of us. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Wayne. It's been a pleasure.
Welcome to the science of synergy, going beyond simple supplements, a combination of natural nutrition and cutting-edge technology to boost cellular wellness. Offering a dynamic blend of essential nutrients, minerals, and amino acids specifically formulated to support healthy stem cell activity, aid the health and vitality of human cells, and support your overall health and wellness. Specially formulated to work synergistically with Lifewave's patented patch technology. Cellergize morning. Start strong. Power on. Be the light. Lifewave.
What's better than hearing from Dr. Caitlin Connor on the amazing benefits people are experiencing with the new X2O light-infused water technology? Hearing from her twice. Back with more of her incredible findings, please welcome back Dr. Caitlin Connor to the virtual stage.
Moving on to the third water study we did, we again looked at a randomized control sample of 20 individuals, but here we shifted the age. We were still looking at men and women, but we shifted the age to 40 to 90. Testing again took approximately 2 hours. The water was treated for approximately 45 minutes. Group 2 had no additives to the energized water. Group 1 had citrulline and sulforaphane added. Citrulline was added into the water, sulforaphane was in a tablet that they took at the beginning of the study. Now, this particular study was double-blind, which meant that everyone was given a tablet at the beginning of the study. The people who were in the no supplement added group got a cellulose tablet instead of the sulforaphane. For that particular study, again, we kept some of the same tests and we added some new ones in. We kept the weight with interstitial age, we kept the base temp, blood pressure, and oxygen saturation. We added glucose. We kept the bioelectric magnetic measures. We added the biopulsar. We added a Doppler perfusion imager, and we kept the near infrared image and the physiology suite HRV. The physiology suite, again, we saw a significant change in EKG in both groups. That's the heart rate variability. And in group A, the supplement group, we also saw a significant change in the skin conductance. And in the no supplement group, we saw a significant change in temperature and respiration. We saw, again, the oxygen saturation improving significantly, which is always a good thing to see, and in both groups by about the same amount. So it's always nice when you don't have people breathing more shallowly throughout the research study. We saw a significant change in weight. You may notice that the weight goes up. It actually went up the same amount in both groups because we had both groups drinking the same amount of water, and water has mass. So both groups went up in weight by the amount of the weight of the water. BMI, interestingly enough, is not the same between the two groups, and I have no explanation for that either. We did see a significant change in BMI, but not to the same level, which is interesting because BMI is effectively a math calculation of your height and your weight. And the weight should have shifted by the same amount and the height shouldn't have shifted at all. kcal, we also got a significant change in the amount of calories burned changed. So that's interesting. Hold on to that one because that'll come back when we get to glucose. And again, body age is doing some interesting things. We did see a shift, not to significance, but we did see a shift in the group A. Again, weight changed by the same amount because we were having them drink the same amount of water. And here, BMI has shifted less. I can't explain that. kcal hasn't moved to the same degree. And body age, here we're seeing a significant shift. On this next slide, you can see the shift in the oxygen percentage. So we have, again, we have A pre and post together and B pre and post together. So you're seeing in combination how they both move. And you can see both of them went up quite nicely. The weight, you can see, shifted the same amount. And BMI was actually slightly different between the two groups, despite being randomized, which can happen, but didn't shift quite the same way. kcal, you can see you have a difference, again, in terms of how it's moving, and body age is a very, very clear difference between the two groups. Looking at the biopulsar, we saw significant changes in nose, hormone system, immune system, intestines, joints, urinary system, stomach, and lung. Again, that just covers most of the body. And biowell, we again saw brain, spine, coronary vascular system, intestines, urinary system, hormone system, immune, and face. Just everything. Water Study 4 was a different design. It was a double-blind crossover design. Now, what that means is you have people coming in for 2 visits. One of the visits, they were drinking the active water. One of the visits, they weren't. And it was randomized which of them they were doing first. And because it was double-blind, they didn't know, and neither did we. We had one person on the team whose only job was doing the water, and they'd hand the people who were taking the data the cup, and the people taking the data had no idea whether it had been energized or not. This was a randomized control sample of 50 individuals, so it was a little bit bigger. And again, we were looking at men and women aged 40 to 90. Testing again took approximately 2 hours, and the water was treated for approximately 45 minutes. Group 1 had the energized water first, while Group 2 had the energized water second. We again did the amino acid urine test, the weight with interstitial age, the base temp, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and the glucose, and we added a carbon dioxide measure. We did the dark field microscopy, the slides with the drop of blood under a microscope again. We did the biowell, the biopulsar, the Doppler perfusion imager, and the HRV again. For the physiology test, again, we got a significant change in skin conductance, in EKG, that's the heart rate variability, in temperature, and in the respiration rate. And we saw BMI change significantly less in the active group, which again is very interesting because we saw the weight again change by the same amount in both groups because they're drinking the same amount of water. Water has mass. So the fact that the BMI changed differently in both groups is very interesting given, again, it's a math calculation. It's height by weight. They should have changed the same amount. And this is a very, very significant number. It's 3.258 continuing E negative 10, which means that you move the decimal place over 10 points. It's a lot of zeros. P-values, you want to see a lower number if at all possible. The p-value shows how likely something is to have happened randomly. So the less likely it is that it was random, the more likely it is that it was caused by what the intervention was, in this case, the energized water. So 10 zeros is a lot of zeros. Muscle percentage also went up in the active group, P equals 0.008. Diastolic blood pressure decreased significantly in the active group, P equals 0.04. So in general, statistical significance is considered anything less than 0.05. Just keep that in mind. Oxygen saturation increased significantly in the active group, P equals 0.04, and glucose significantly decreased in the active group, 0.03. And glucose was actually kind of funny. It was enough of a visible shift that the people taking the data, the research team, actually started guessing which group people were in based on the glucose shifts. So it was fairly visible on the monitor. We also saw 12 significant amino acid changes and 3 that were near significant. The amino acids we saw change were cysteine, methionine, alpha aminobutyric acid, tyrosine, phenylalanine, hydroxyproline, and oxoproline, as well as serine, anserine, arginasuccinate, alanine, citrulline, glutamine, cystathionine, adenyl homocysteine. Between the different studies where we were looking at acupuncture points, the DO channel was particularly reactive in both studies. DO14 showed a significant decrease in both when analyzed with the groups combined and in the water-only group in study 1, while DO20 showed a significant difference in both when analyzed with the groups combined and in the supplement added group. It also showed a significant change when measured by the data logging multimeter in water 2. It did not show that in the AccuGraph. So there's some interesting differences in the method of testing. We were using the data logging multimeter in water 1, so it makes some sense that that would be consistent. The physiology suite, again, we did through all of the different studies, and all of the studies showed a significant improvement in EKG in the energized water groups. That's the heart rate variability. And all of the studies showed a significant change in skin conductance in the energized water groups as well. Supplement effects varied by supplement, which makes sense because the effect of the supplement is going to depend on which supplement you are using. It suggests in this case that the energized water provides a very good base, and you can tune exactly what it's doing by the supplements that you add or potentially don't add. In terms of vitals, we saw oxygen saturation either not change or increase in any of the energized water groups. We saw diastolic blood pressure decrease significantly in 2 of the studies in the energized water groups. And we saw kcal and glucose changes, which suggests that there may be metabolic changes, especially in combination with the amino acid changes. In the BioWell, looking across all of the studies, we saw changes in the spine, the brain/nervous system, the intestines, the hormone system, the immune system, and the urinary system. Some fairly important systems for how your body works. So it looks like drinking this water improves energy production and energy flow in the body. And the changes in the body show up almost immediately after consuming. Again, we saw changes in all cases under 2 minutes, and in most cases under 45 seconds. There are measurable improvements in the way that the body metabolizes specific amino acids, and this could lead to improvements in peptide and protein synthesis. We specifically saw in the amino acid changes that there were 3 amino acids that shifted that have direct links to DNA. So the potential implications there are very interesting. And while the changes in amino acids were not identical between water 1 and water 4, we did get 3 that were exactly the same, and we got a number of other amino acids that are in the same chain. So amino acids don't stay static when they're in the body. They get used and they get turned into other things. There are a whole bunch of different processes going on. So it looks like it's activating specific pathways, and the exact amino acid we get a significant shift on may depend on when we're hitting that specific pathway. Some of the data also suggests an anti-aging effect and improved metabolic function. The effects are systemic, not localized, which was very clear with the BioWell and the BioPulsar results. We will perform long-term studies once the machines are available to validate the anti-aging benefits. We have continued doing research on this particular technology after the 4 studies that I've talked about here, though they're not quite ready to be presented yet, and we will continue to do that. Thank you.